Strategy 1. Assess your readiness.
At the water park, when you're looking up at that big slide, the thoughts that go through your head usually start out with, gee, that looks exciting, followed by, maybe I'd like to do that. And then it starts to set in, gee, that looks a little scary. I don't know if I'm ready. And it's the same thing when you first start thinking of starting a business. You eventually land at that question, am I ready? Am I prepared? And that's why strategy 1 is assess your readiness. The easiest strategy to overlook is this one. Many people prefer just to get on with it without ever addressing the issue. Then later, they find themselves in trouble. Well, the good news is we're not going to let that happen to you today. We're going to help you look at several areas: your motivation for starting a business, your critical knowledge and personal traits, and finally, your expectations. Then we'll talk about what we see and what you can do about it. So, the benefits of taking an honest look at yourself are several. First, you're going to shed the insecurity that comes from avoiding the issue. We're going to identify some important ways to increase your readiness in areas where you need a little bit more help. And in doing so, you're going to increase your competence. When you do all of these things, your confidence is going to soar because you're going to know you took an honest look at yourself, you bolstered the areas that needed a little bit more work, and you're moving ahead fully prepared.
Motivation and inner drive.
Let's start with inner drive or motivation. What I'd like to do is give you 5 statements and ask you to think about which of these describes your motivation for starting a business. Now, don't try to think about what the right answer might be for someone starting a business, or you just won't get as much out of this exercise as you otherwise could have. Just think about which of these really resonates with you and make a mental note of that. And of course, you can choose more than one. So the first of the 5 statements is, I've been having a hard time finding a job, so I'm thinking about starting a business. Does that apply to you? Next, I really don't like my boss. In fact, I don't like having a boss, period. So I'm thinking about starting my own business. And number 3 is, I want to make a lot of money, more than I could make working for someone else. Number 4, I see a lot of other people running their own businesses, and I'm as smart as they are. I'm not afraid of hard work, so I know I can do it too. Does this sound like you? Okay, and the last one, number 5. I've always wanted to start a business. It's something inside me that just won't go away. It's a passion, almost an obsession. If that's you, make a note of number 5. Okay, so we've gone through 5 statements that speak about your inner drive, or the reasons behind why you want to start a business. Let's talk about these. Number 1 was having a hard time finding a job. This is very common in any down economy. In fact, many people start a business after being laid off or let go from a position that they really didn't like anyway. But among successful entrepreneurs, this speaks more to the timing of when they started their business and not the reason for starting the business. So if this was on your list, make sure that in addition to the circumstances around the timing, you're also prepared to start your own business. Number 2, I don't like my boss or having a boss. Be a little bit careful with this one, especially if it was the only one that really resonated with you. This is an example of moving away from something instead of a desire to be doing something. And business owners will tell you that this is really a misconception anyway. The reality is that there's always someone to answer to, even as the business owner. There's the landlord, customers, suppliers. At times you'll even feel like you're answering to your own employees. The third one was, I want to make a lot of money, more than I could make working for someone else. Now, this is a positive motivator, and it's certainly a legitimate motivator. Business owners can often make a lot more money than they could make working for someone else. But you'll, again, want to make sure this isn't the only thing that's motivating you, because the reality is that in the beginning it can be hard to make money, and it might take longer than you expected. So if that's your sole reason for going into business, you might find that a bit frustrating. Number 4 was, I see other people working hard and being successful and reaping the rewards. And I'm not afraid of the hard work. So sort of the, yes, I can do that too attitude. People who say this are already starting to see themselves as business owners on the inside. And that's a powerful part of inner drive, how you see yourself. So here we're getting closer to the inner drive of most successful entrepreneurs. But the fifth one that we listed, and the response I really like to see from someone who's about to start a business, is I've always wanted to start a business. It's something inside me that just won't go away. It's a passion or almost an obsession. This is at the core of the inner drive of successful business owners. And this kind of inner drive is very, very important. If you have that drive, I believe you can prepare yourself for all of the other things you need to have. You can learn them. You can get more experience. You can improve in all the other areas. But this fifth one about this inner drive, you really have to have that inside you because there will be challenges that come up that are really going to temper your enthusiasm. If you have the inner drive and you really know you want to be in your own business for the sake of being in your own business, you won't let self-doubt set in. You'll be motivated to push through. Inner drive really can make you unstoppable. And individuals who start a business without that spark or that passion, they can soon start to have some long days when they question why they're doing it. I believe if you have that inner drive, nothing can stop you and you'll find a way to succeed because for you, the journey is part of the reward. So think about your own answers and what we've just discussed as you assess your own inner drive and motivation.